Yes, Twitch have done their famous thing of making things worse. So we just lost connection there. I was saying that this is Grocklesnook from The Bottled Imp. Yes, this is a YouTube channel that I co-created with my friend Julian. It has over 450 episodes of fancy goodness. Fancy board game reviews, fancy film reviews, and fantasy, fancy book reviews. Books, board games, and films. That's basically what we did over there. 450 episodes. Go check that out. My name's Ken Boyd, but you might already know that if you watch Edward Tales regularly. And I'm just double checking to see. It says disconnect from chat. Welcome to Edward Tales chat room. So hopefully there'll be people that hopefully I can read the chat. But this is a UK Games special. Good morning. How are you? See, the problem is, right, somebody said hello to me. It's Josh. Hello, Josh. Josh from VVV Shop. How are you? They've changed things on Twitch, and as we all know, nobody wants change. And so they've made things slightly worse. So they've moved the chat over to this corner here when it used to be up here. And so it's kind of harder to read. But anyway, we will do our best. How are you, Josh? How are you? Yes, this is a UK Games special. Basically, last weekend, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I was at the UK Games. Good rainy afternoon, fellow adventurers, says Lee Rin. How are you, Lee Rin? Hopefully you're good. Josh has said he's on holiday at the moment in Hastings. Oh, nice. I've been to Hastings. Yeah, it's lovely. So chilling in bed. Oh, okay, waiting for the swimming. Oh, that sounds perfect, Josh. Am I okay? Yes, I am okay. I have recovered now from UK Games. Because those of you that haven't been to UK Games, and those of you that have been to UK Games, you will know, if you've been, how busy it is. And this year they added an extra hall, so there was 5 halls. That's 10. So half of that, there's 5 halls. And it's huge. They had something like 50,000, something like that, 50,000 people attend. It's a heavy-duty event, yeah. It sure is, Josh. However, if you are into gaming, there will be something for you. There's so many different traders, so many different publishers there. There's designers there, there's people, there's players, gamers. There's Warhammer, there's War Miniatures, there's Pathfinder, RPGs, D&D. There's loads of different board games. Any board game that you would like to buy or play, you could probably play. There's so many games being demoed. It's just huge. And there's me, exactly. No, but it's a really fun event. However, if you're there for that, so I go up on the Thursday night, so I'm ready for the Friday morning. So you've got Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So it's open to the public for 3 days. And when I used to go as a player, as a gamer, well, I still go as a gamer, if you see what I mean. But when I was sort of free to roam around and do what I like, I still found it exhausting because there's so much to do. However, you just have to go in with the fact that you're not going to see everything, and it's probably a good idea to start planning your event. Like, what do you actually want to see there? Because then you won't be disappointed. Unless you like just walking around aimlessly. You might just walk around aimlessly. So, as you know... Oh, I haven't got the games. Let me go get the games. Bear with me 1 second. Talk amongst yourselves. Here we go. As you may know or may not know, I do have 2 board games published by the same publisher, Outset Media. Outset Media and Cheatwell, they kind of merged the 2 companies. And I co-created these with Kedric Winks. So one is the Crooked Crown, and I'd given all my copies away. So I managed to get myself another copy. So this will be my copy, Crooked Crown. And also Guildlands. So I co-designed Guildlands with Kedric Winks as well. And with Guildlands, if you bought it at the expo, you get a free Messengers Guild, so you get an extra freebie. And so I was on the Outset Media stand demoing the game, demoing both games, which was a lot of fun, as you can imagine. Oh, hello. Oh, we got available from all good retailers. Yes, he should be my agent, Josh. Available from all good retailers. Yes, you can buy them on Amazon. I believe you can get them on Zatu, although they might not be on there just yet. You can get them lots of online shops. Also, they are starting to get out into shops, into physical shops as well. So that's good to hear. Just saw the new Master of the Universe film. Oh, did you? Followed by a YouTube episode of the 1983 cartoon to see how well and gracefully our Gen X millennial boy ahead of age. Surprisingly well, actually. Yeah, boomer parents who complain about how violent it was never watched any episodes because He-Man was actually one of the gentlest and least violent cartoon heroes back then. That advocated mercy and kindness to villains like Skeletor. Yes, that was baked into... Oh, hello. Gruckle Snook's been drinking again. You all right, mate? Yeah, apparently that was baked into the cartoon of He-Man, that he could never be seen to kill somebody. He always had to, find a different way to defeat the villain. Absolutely. So, yeah, although there was action, there was violence, but, yeah, it's no way, But I can understand it. You're a concerned parent, obviously. But I do think that if you're that way inclined anyway, you're going to be doing violent stuff anyway. I'm not sure how much of an influence TV and films actually have. I don't know. They've done studies. I don't think they've really found any correlation between the two. But, yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Well, I've heard, I think He-Man, the film that's just come out, I think that's doing pretty well. People seem to enjoy it. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was good? So, yes. So, we've got the Crooked Crown and we've got Guildlands. Those two games are out right now, so you can buy them if you want. They've been very well received. Guildlands, because it's a bigger game, and also Outset Media have given away more review copies of Guildlands than they did the Crooked Crown. It is doing really well. We've got loads of reviews. I think there was only one review that gave it a 5 out of 10, whereas all the others have given it at least a 7, 8, 9, 10 out of, well, not necessarily 10, but, they've given it high scores. So, yeah, very happy with that. Very happy with that. Lee Reynolds put, I don't mind that if more boomer jock dads, all this terminology I don't understand, taught their sons that you don't have to be violent to be the strongest guy in the room. There would be less school bullies in the 1980s and 90s. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's, I was brought up by my mum primarily, so I guess I didn't have that sort of need to be a bloke, as we would call it, a blokey bloke. But yeah, you have other skills, put it that way. my wit and my humour was my defence against bullies and that kind of thing. Not that there was too much bullying at my school. I was very lucky. I don't recall that. I mean, I might have just been lucky, but I'm sure it happened because it's just human nature, unfortunately. Anyway, so yeah, UK Games. So I was on the stand, Outset Media, and they're really cool. They have a massive stand that's got, I can't remember how many tables, but it had at least 10 tables, maybe more, to demo games. And they've got a big catalogue of games. And mainly, Cheatwell and Outset have been, over the years, they've been more commercial games, more kids games, more quizzes. They've got a really big and successful jigsaw part of the company as well. Both of them have. So they do want to get into this hobby side of the market for games. So hence why they're signing games like the Crooked Crown and Guildlands, because they're seeing a new area to grow into. And so they're learning as a company how to sort of tap into that hobby market, which is very different from the commercial side of things. You know, if you're selling to, more commercial games, you're actually selling to retailers. So you need a network of sales team that will reach out into retailers rather than appeal to individual hobbyists to buy your game. So it's a slightly different business model. So they're learning. But yeah, there was about 20 people on the stand. Most people worked for Outset Media. Some were volunteers. And then, there was me, who was one of the designers of a game, of their games. So, there was a good demo team there. And they're really lovely people at Outset. And that's, Kedric and I have been very fortunate because they're just very nice people. And when you have your game published by a company, you want them to be nice people, basically, who actually care. They care about their board games. They care about the customer, Mandalorian and Grogu was tea. Also excellent. Space Spaghetti Western. Oh, okay, cool. That's cool. Good stuff. I watched the first series of Mandalorian and thought it was very good. And I watched the second one as well, but I might have given up halfway through the second one. Gosh darn phone screen keyboards too tiny. I know. It's kind of weird, the evolution of the phone, wasn't it? It was like they were big, and then let's see if we can get them smaller and smaller. And then, oh look, smart screens. Let's see if we can get them bigger and bigger. And then now I guess they're coming down a bit smaller. I don't know. So that was really cool, demoing for Outset for my games. And what's really nice is that, I would say if you'd like me and Kedric to sign the box for you. So that's really cool. It's like a rockstar moment where they go, oh, yes, please. That's really cool. So Kedric and I are signing boxes. And, yeah, there was they also launched a new game called Cat Earth that did really well. That was by Gareth Edwards, a designer called Gareth Edwards. And that did really well. That sold out. They did really well with that. I don't know how many copies that was, but they did really well. And because it was a new launch game, they actually had 7 tables of demo. Or 7 spots. So maybe 3-4 tables of Cat Earth. And it is kind of interesting because... And they did that with the Crooked Crown previously, and the Crooked Crown did well. When you demo a game, people are more likely to buy it because they've tried it. Whereas if they pick it up and look at it on the shelf, they haven't experienced that game, that feeling. So it's kind of, so if you've got lots of spots, you're going to do well. And I'm sounding a bit bitter there, but I don't mean it like that. What I mean is, because it's a new game, quite rightly, you have a lot of table space. Because, it's a new thing, and people like new thing. They like to come and, what new games have you got? It's that kind of feeling. Don't give up. 3 series so far, all of them good and worth your time. Won't spoil the emotional clip, the final series 2 for you. Well, that's fair enough. I know it's very difficult to get back into something, I find, if I've sort of given up or I've just drifted away. I just kind of forgot about it. I might go back to it, but I'm not sure. I might go. It's like Stranger Things. I watched series 1, 2, and 3, I think. I don't know how many there are, but I just sort of drifted away from that as well, and that was pretty good. I really did enjoy Stranger Things. So I don't know. I've got to get back into that as well. So that was from a why I was there at UK Games. Even if I wasn't demoing a game, I'd still go up. Maybe not necessarily for the 3 days, but I might go up for a day. Normally I go up for 3 days, even if I just go to visit. But yeah, it's thousands of people, and everybody I find seems nice. I've never met somebody who I thought, oh, they're not very nice. So it just seems to be a nice hobby to get involved with. I'll show you an example of that, actually. There was this badge exchange. So on the back of the UK Games programme, you had companies that were giving away badges. And the way that Outset did it is that you had to play a game. I think on all the stands you had to play one of their games. I'm not sure. It might have been down to each individual company to how they wanted to give out their badges. But anyway, they were giving out a Shadow Ninjas game. Shadow Ninjas badge, or pin, as the Americans call it, but badge, where so come and play Shadow Ninjas, and then you get a free badge. Well, we ran out. Outset ran out on the late Saturday afternoon, and one child was so crestfallen that I had my Goblin badge, from my Kickstarter, and I said to him, "There you go, you can have my badge." And so, I thought, well, at least one person's happy, and then other people came. "Oh, have you got any badges?" "No, we're all out of them." And then, obviously, on the Sunday, people were disappointed. But what happened on the Sunday is that same boy who I'd given the badge to, he came back and said, "I've got you a badge." So he'd gone to another stall, another stand that still had them, and he gave me a badge. So it was really sweet, really kind of the boy. So, that's the sort of thing that gamers are like. People are just very, very kind, so I'm putting that back on. So glad I backed 100 Acre Woods in time. Thanks, Ken and Jonathan, for reminding me during sneaking mission into the fortress of Mang Pang. Yes, absolutely. That's a very good point. I think it's closed now. Yes, Jonathan Green has a new Kickstarter. I think it's just closed, but there's probably late pledges. But if you are late, you do pay slightly more for your book. But yes, it's 100 Acre Woods, which is Winnie the Pooh meets Pet Cemetery, which is a great crossover. So, yes, I backed it as well because I thought, well, you have to. It's Jonathan Green. He's always a good writer. A badge of my favourite camel variant, the llama, yes. Well, I didn't. I thought I've seen this before and I couldn't work it out. And then I managed to see an image, and it's from a board game. It's from a little card game. I can't remember what it's called. And I thought, oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, yeah, so lots of other people, and it's a shame Jonathan's not tuning in at the moment, but unless he is, he's just sitting back knocking down the whiskey, Saturday morning, 10 a.m, when I'm on the tea. But we did meet up with Jonathan Green. I did go over, had a chat with him on his stand, which is really cool. He had Shakespeare vs. Cthulhu, I think, as his latest game. Oh, no, and then he had his 3 Arkham Horror series books, which was really cool. And, yeah, we had a really good chat on the stand. Then Jonathan very kindly invited me along to... they'd organised going to TGI Fridays, but on a Saturday. That played havoc with my OCD. The Warlock himself arrives. Oh, there he is. Yes, there he is. You see, you do. Jonathan's like a genie. You just mention his name and he appears. I'm checking stock. Are you now? That's what they call it. What? How much whiskey you've got left? Yeah, 12 and a half bottles. No, make that 12 bottles. Oh, yeah, 100 Acre Wood is now accepting late pledges, yes. So if you haven't backed, you can still late pledge, as long as you've rubbed me the right way. No, Jonathan, it's way too early for that kind of shenanigans. Give Jonathan a good buffing, as they say, as they used to do at school. What is going on? What's going on? Yes, so that was really cool. So Jonathan had his, he had a big cardboard cutout of Shakespeare, which I thought was very, very clever marketing, because I'm sure lots of people did selfies with. In fact, I'm surprised I didn't do a selfie with him. Yeah, so that was really cool. And then Jonathan very kindly invited me along to their dinner, TGI Friday. He doesn't own TGI Fridays. That sounds like he owned TGI Fridays. Anyway, invited me out along with the pre-arranged meeting up at TGI Friday. It's very complicated. So that was really, really cool. That was me, Ollie Mack, Jonathan, Paul from Painting Miniatures. I can't remember what they're called now. Paramount Miniatures. Really, I met the guy Paul before at the last Fighting Fantasy Festival. Really nice guy. And 2 of Jonathan's friends, who I already know from a couple of years ago. I believe their names are Scott and Claire. It's a shame Jonathan's listening now, because I might have forgotten their names. That's the one. Pandemonium. I don't think I've ever seen that word written down, apart from when I read it on his business card. Pandemonium. Correct. It was Scott and Claire. There we go. Good. See, I wasn't that drunk. Yeah, we had a really, really nice evening. It was just really funny. All of us were laughing and joking and waiting for our food and waiting for our drink. Yeah, and Ollie and I, before that, because Ollie had a stand, so I went over to see Ollie Mack, you know, the Story Masters Tales. He had a stand, which was in this roughly the same hall as Outset Media. So I went to have a chat with him. His stand was looking great, as it always does. And he also had 2 shows. So he was performing at the UK Games as well. He did 2 shows. I'm pretty sure one sold out and one didn't. Almost sold out. But that's really good, you know. So he was very happy with that. And because he had a stand, and I was on the Outset Media stand, he came over when the hall had finished. You know, I think the hall closed at 5. I can't remember now. 6. Anyway, Ollie and I went up to have a little drinky drink before we met up with the rest of them, and that was really cool. And yeah, we had a nice drink. We went up on the Sky Bar, which was right on the top of this massive hotel, overlook the lake and everything. It was really cool. It was really nice. So that was nice, just have a little chat with Ollie, catch up with him, see what he's doing. And also next to us on the table was mother, father and son. And the son had designed a little quick card game. Sort of like Magic the Gathering meets Top Trump. So it's quite fun. So yeah, so we had a chat to him about design and, you know, and that's what I mean. It was just people are really nice at UK Games. Not Jonathan, obviously. No. Jonathan's the most loveliest man ever, but they're the ones you've got to watch. And then, so yeah, that was really cool. So we had a lovely Saturday evening. That was fantastic. And then what else happened? Oh, I think, was it the Sunday? I can't remember. It might have been the Sunday. So I went over to see Jonathan again, to just say hello. And Sir Ian Livingston was there. Sir Ian, Sir Ian, Sir Ian, Sir Ian, thou shalt not pass. Sir Ian, Sir Ian, Sir Ian. Jonathan Green. So that was fun. We had a good chat, and Ian made the foolish remark of what have you got new? Like, what are you working on next in terms of board games? And I said, well, let me show you. So I talked to him about Guildlands, and he said, oh, it sounds pretty cool. Jonathan had already got his copy. And also what was really nice was Mark Gascoigne, I believe it was Mark Gascoigne, wasn't it? Was sitting between Ian Livingston and Jonathan, and he said, yeah, oh, I've got Guildlands, I've already got, you know, so that was good. That was really good. So Ian came over, he said, oh, well, I'll walk back to your stand. Are you going back now? And I went, yeah. I was. It just happened I was. There you go, Mark Gascoigne, yeah. And the author. Although I did make a bit of a blunder. I went, you're the illustrator. I kind of couldn't remember exact. I knew he was a bit of a legend in Fighting Fantasy, but it's because I'm a fraud. Anyway, so hopefully he forgive me. Never speak to me again. So Ian and I, we went over to the Outset Media stand. And such a nice guy. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful man. He's so humble and just like, you know, people recognise him. You know, he's a legend. He's a games legend. People recognise him. So I'm chatting to Ian about just games in general, I believe. And then, what was really cool, I'm not sure I told you this, Jonathan, because I don't think I saw you after this. But this might have been the Saturday, I can't remember. Anyway, there was a lady who'd just bought Guildlands who came up to me and said, could you sign the box? They were right in front of Ian, and I was like, that is living my dreams. That's living the dream. I couldn't believe it. It's like, No, but he's the famous one. You want his signature, not necessarily on my game, but you want his signature. So obviously that felt really cool because it was like, see Ian, yeah. Now who's the captain? So that was cool. However, Ian strikes back. Ian strikes back because my friend Sarah, who's also demoing for Outset Media, she just bounded up to him, went, Ian, I'm a massive fan. I read all your books when I was a kid. I loved them, and you know I didn't really. There wasn't that many other people that I knew were into these. Being a girl, you know, she was just babbling away, and then she went, oh, you know, and you saved my life, basically. She was so enthusiastic, and she went, oh, can I have a selfie? And she went, yeah. And then I went, oh, all right, can I have a selfie as well? But then I thought, yeah, that's real fame. He's not even selling a product. He's just there, and people run up to him and know who he is. And I thought, yeah, okay, fair play. You are still the master. Ken the man. Hello, Spell Sing. Hello, Spell Sing. Good gosh, there's now a collectible Guildlands box out there. There is. So, yeah, so I thought that was funny. He I thought, now look at me saying, look, signatures. Of course, I don't really think that, he's a legend. But I just found it really funny that literally 30 seconds later, Sarah bounded up. That was brilliant. And then afterwards, she went, oh, I didn't know you. No, how do you know him? I didn't know you know. How do you know? I love his stuff. And she was like really, really happy that she'd met him. So it was great. Yeah, so we're just talking about UK Games. You might be aware of that. UK Games Expo, Spell Sing, yeah. It's really nice. If you go regularly, you can start to forge friendships, which is really cool. You can go up with if you have a gaming group. A lot of my gaming group, actually, the St Albans gaming group, came onto the stand individually, because they just generally go. They all go seem separately, or some go together, but then they all scatter because it's so big. Because they want to do their own thing, and then they meet up and play games. So during the day on Friday and Saturday, this constant stream of knowing people, which is lovely, which is really nice. And of course, talking of that, Julian was there. Julian and his wife Lindsay and his son was there, and their two friends, which I've forgotten their name, which is really naughty of me, but I recognise them. So that was really cool. So they played Flora Funga. And also they had demoed Guildlands last year. We weren't selling it. It hadn't launched. So they were one of the very few people to play, apart from the playtesters, and me and Kedric, obviously, to actually have played Guildlands. And they are partly responsible for the Messengers Guild, because Dave, who's the owner of the company, and Paul, who's the product manager development guy, he saw their reaction, and then Dave demoed it to another group as well, because he saw Julian's reaction to it. He demoed it to another group, and then they sidled up to me and Kedric and said, do you think you could design another guild that we could give as a freebie? So I'm sure Julian and his family and friends had part influence on that. Nice community of people. Yeah, Spell Sing, yeah. I hope to meet Mr. Big. Mr. Big. Not from Live and Let Die. That's somebody completely different. But yeah, AK sit in it. You will do. He's got a new book coming out. Be prepared to wait in line. Honestly, obviously, and quite rightly, he is the number one draw for Fighting Fantasy, conventions. So yeah, he has a long queue. But he's so nice. He's such a nice guy. Yeah, so he's got a new, I believe they launched them in hardback first as well. So, and I've got a few of his ones that he's done there as well. I don't know if I bought all of them. I'm pretty sure I did. If not, I've got them on paperback. But anyway, yeah, so he's definitely going to be there. So that was really cool. So yeah, Julian, who else? Yeah, as I say, members of my board game club. And... was this? Heard about the new book? Yeah, Tomb of Crystal Skull or something. Yeah, Tomb of the Crystal Skull. I think that rings a bell. Yes. yeah. And they're just as good as when he first wrote them. You know, it's brilliant. And Steve Jackson had a book last time, I believe, which was co-written with Jonathan Green, so that was cool. There it is, Tomb of the Golden Skull. I was going to say, Crystal Skull is edging towards Indiana Jones territory, isn't it? Yes, Tomb of the Golden Skull. So yeah, so it's all good fun. So that was the social side, which over the years has increased. Obviously, as I've known more people. Obviously, that's obvious. It's nothing but insightful, this show, isn't it? This little chat. However, because I've gone into games design, you know, quite committed. You know, I'm quite committed now to doing that. I've networked more, and I never really understood what networking is until it's just chatting to people that have the same interests as you. Simple as that, really. So, so I kind of know more people within the industry. As the years go on, you do more pitches of your games, you make connections with other publishers. You know, Outset Media, I've met other publishers through them, and other designers as well. So you kind of start to build up your own network of people. And so, yeah, I was very lucky enough. There was only 36 games chosen for the speed dating. Sounds like a fun dungeon crawl. Absolutely, sounds fantastic, dungeon crawl. And so so UK Games hold a speed dating event on Friday evening, where if you're a designer, you submit your game. If you're a publisher, you choose your top 3 games out of all the games. Apparently there was 245 games to choose from, 36 slots available. My game was picked, A Christmas Carol. The Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull roller coaster ride in Tokyo Disney. Disney Sea is a top-class dungeon crawl experience also. Oh, is it really? That's fantastic. I'm not big on roller coasters, so I kind of would avoid that. But yeah, I can imagine. I've seen pictures of stuff like that, and it looks amazing. Is that a euphemism there, Spelsing? Hold on to your potatoes. Hold on to your potatoes, Dr. Jones. That was a terrible impression of Indiana Jones. So yes, so here's my. I always keep my lanyards as a little souvenir. Christmas Carol, how did it go? You can never tell. Well, you kind of can tell. So what I did do is I revamped the logo, actually. I changed a little bit. So this is my sell sheet, and I have a little pack with me. I have a sell sheet and the rules, and also this year I had a few other games that weren't picked. I just thought I'll put the sell sheet in for there, so if they want to take the pack away, they can. All hail short round. Yeah, I'll score in that, exactly. Little short round. And, so we had about half an hour to set up. Then we have each publisher. You've got 4 minutes to pitch to them. Then a bell rings. They've got a minute to ask questions. Then another bell rings. Then they get up and they sit down. And then a bell rings. You've got another 4 minutes. So you just see publisher after publisher for about an hour and a half. So it can be quite a lot of talking, obviously. But I'm used to that. Holy smoke. Crash landing. So, yeah, so I set up my Christmas Carol, and I think it has got a really good table presence, even if I do say so myself. And I had 30, so they divide it into heavy games and light games. I'm on the heavy side. I believe there was 13 publishers there. 2 didn't turn up, but then 2 extra came. So again, there was still 13. So out of the 13, I would say 2 said no. They just said, no, it's not really for us. We can't see us publishing this. It's slightly too complex, or it doesn't fit in with our range. So that's fair enough. And I really appreciate the honesty, because there's no point, if they're genuinely just no, we're not publishing it. And then some, you can't really tell. They might be interested, they might not be. And they've already got the sell sheet, so they've already got your contact details, so you're not 100% sure whether or not they're going to get in contact with you. But I always tend to follow up as well. And then what happened? Oh yeah, and then some, if they take your business card and your sell sheet, I don't know, is that them interested, or is that them just being disorganised? Because they've already got that. I don't know. So, but I do know that one guy from one company came back as I was doing the next pitch and took a picture of the board. So I think that bodes fairly well. And then yesterday, I was going through my emails, and I always look in my spam email, and there was a publisher who contacted me, and it went in my spam email, but they'd contacted me during the expo saying, we couldn't make the speed dating, we're really sorry I missed you, but we really like the look of your game, can we arrange a meeting? And I didn't see it until yesterday. So I'm going to contact them to say, are you still interested? We can have a video call meeting, that kind of thing. So, so you just kind of wait, or you follow up. I might follow up next week just to see if anybody is interested. I also had a meeting with another company the next morning because they're looking at my Devilish Deaths game, and they said, oh, we haven't had time to play test it yet, to demo it, to play it. Pesky spam folder. I know. I was like, oh, I can't believe it, because I could have so easily gone and met them. I had the prototype. Anyway, it wasn't meant to be like that. So, so I had this other meeting, which was really cool. Now, I had pitched my Devilish Deaths game to them in Essen. They really liked it, so I sent them the prototype. And then they hadn't had time to play it. So my contact, he couldn't make UK Games, so he said, don't worry, chat to my colleague. So I arranged to meet him, and he said, yeah, what new games are you working on? So I thought, let's do this. So I talked to him about Christmas Carol, and he seemed fairly interested, actually. We talked about it for a long time. And then also he said, we're releasing a game that kind of might, that sort of is different enough from yours, but I could see him thinking this could fit nicely into the range. So I don't know, you just don't know. I also showed him the sell sheet for Flat Cat, Fat Cat. Just said, look, I've got some lighter games if you're interested in those. And also the Wonky Wand. And also my Misbehave, which is for younger children. And then out of these, he took these two. So he took the Flat Cat, Fat Cat, and the Wonky Wand sell sheets. And again, you just don't know. You kind of just have to wait, and then you chase them up after a couple of weeks. And what I find, though, is it's so refreshing that I don't need a middle person. They don't just deal with agents. They are happy to talk to designers of any sort of experience. So it could be your very first game that you've designed. They will look at it. There's, most companies are very experienced. They know what they're looking for. So your game might actually be a very good game, but it's not right for them. Do you see what I mean? They're like, we don't really do that type of game, or we can't see it working, especially if it's an overseas company, because they might say, oh, I don't know how well that's going to, will go down in their own local country. Well done, Ken. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Spelsing. Yeah, I appreciate that. So it is one of those things where the more research you do, the better, because it's just like a jigsaw. It's finding the right game for the right publisher, and the publisher's looking for the right game. It's like, so we're both trying to find each other. I will find you. Although it wasn't romantic, was it, when he said that? Best of luck. Thank you, Lee Rin. Yeah, so that's cool. So all you can do is put it out there. And I caught up with Cryptic Killers. If you've not played these, I totally recommend these. Cryptic Killers, who again are looking at my Devilish Deaths game, and they're still deciding whether they want to take it or not. However, they're a really nice bunch. Not however, but anyway, they're a really lovely bunch, and I caught up with them. We had a lovely chat on the stand. And I just thought I'd plug this, actually, but I definitely recommend these. I've played 2 of these, at least. And they're murder mysteries. and they're cold cases. So you can get these on Amazon, you can get them online, and basically there's no real structure to it. You just open it up, you read the case, and then you've got all these clues that you go, well, what's this all about? And it might be a flyer for, I don't know, a concert. And you go, what's this? This looks like, an allotment contract or something, like really just stuff. And you just have to work it out. They're good fun. So if you like your murder mysteries, they're good fun. And they rate them on 4 out of 5 as in difficulty rating. So if you want to start off, I started off with an easier one and then progressed onto the harder ones. I like those old How to Host Murder Mystery Party box sets. Kind of, Lee Ring, kind of. However, they kind of are. The difference being is those old murder mystery ones, they're still available, by the way. That's where you get assigned a role. So I might be the vicar, and it'd be like, dress up like a vicar. It would tell me, dress up like a vicar. And I'm playing a role. This isn't the case with this one. Normally those old-fashioned ones, you host a dinner party, and you do it over a dinner party. It's not like that. There's no dinner party involved. You can do it over a dinner party if you want. But it's more, you are investigators and there's no role play. You could role play if you wanted to, but that's not the premise. And you are literally just chatting with your mates going, well, I think the doctor might be lying because he said he was at the allotment and he said, and it just rained. And yet when we looked at his wellies, it said his wellies were very clean. So he's obviously lying. He either didn't go to the allotment or he did, but he wiped them off, because maybe there was blood on the wellies, so he had to wipe them down, that kind of thing. So it is more of a discussion-based activity where no one is part of the plot, if you see what I mean. Jonathan put, I took part in one of those dinner parties at uni. Fantastic. I think I've done at least one, yeah. One of the most ambitious ones was how to host a mystery, except it's aboard the Starship Enterprise. That would only appeal to Next Generation fans, wouldn't it, or Star Trek fans, because if you had no idea what that show was about, you'd be going, who's this Deanna Troi? What? Who's Captain Picard? You wouldn't know how to roleplay them. But maybe that's part of the fun. You just don't know. You don't know how to roleplay them. So yeah, so that's really cool. So hopefully, we'll talk about stuff. And what else? Oh, I think that's pretty much it for UK Games. Oh, I did find some really cool dice that I've given as a present to my friend Hazel, who made all of the gamebook dice. And they're dice with little skulls and moss in. They're clear, but you can see the skulls and moss in. Fantastic. We didn't succeed in revealing the murderer, since the only character who was allowed to lie was the murderer. Yeah, revealing the murderer. Who's this wolf son of Mo? Yeah, exactly. So yes. Well, that's like our murder. I act in murder mysteries most weekends. What we do is, it's over a 3-course meal. It takes place in these really lovely hotels. It's open to the public. And we get normally about 40 to 60 people, so they're popular. We also do full weekend ones where it starts on the Saturday and it finishes on the Sunday. However, we're the actors, so we're the main characters, if you like. And the people that go to solve the murderer, the murder, murder mystery, I couldn't speak there. They're kind of connected, so they might be a really distant relative of one of the characters, or they might be a work colleague, like of one of the characters, that kind of thing. And so so no one dresses up. It's all set in modern day. It's meant to be like real life. And we have it, where during the evening, all the characters can lie if they want to, but you carefully work out if you need to deny something because of the plot. But then at the end, there's a lineup on the evening one, and only the murderer can still lie, because that's how it has to happen. And so we say, so some people say, so did you do it? And you go, well, if you're innocent, you have to tell the truth, so you're going to say no. And if you're the murderer, you can lie, so you're going to say no. So they think they're being really clever, and it's like, no, that's the most ridiculous question. Hopefully that murder mystery box does not require you to simulate Klingon food, which is mostly still alive and moving. Yes, or no, absolutely. Well, as I say, there's no dinner involved in this one. This is just pure rip it open. You can play it. It's not hosting a dinner party. There's no roles. You don't take on roles. You are the investigator. And it's a cold case. So, you know, this one is a medieval one. So that's fantastic. So obviously all the people involved are dead. So you're not involved in the actual plot. You're just looking. It's like a puzzle. You're basically looking at a puzzle trying to solve it. So yeah, there you go. So that is my UK Games Expo experience. It was fantastic. I know Jonathan did very well as well, selling his books. So yeah, so I'm sure he had a fantastic. You had a good UK Games, didn't you, Jonathan? Come on, say yes, even if you didn't. Don't spoil the vibe. The other thing. So, moving forward, what am I doing next? You may wonder. You probably don't care, obviously. I have the fabled proofreading back from Sally. What? Yes, this is the next one, my next game book, The Rat Wife of Sleepy Eye, and it's a much shorter game book because this is the freebie. The digital freebie if you backed mine and Jam's Kickstarter together. So Jam had already finished his. I, took a little bit of time writing my actual game book. So this was delayed. I've now got it back from Sally, which is fantastic. She's proofread it and made sure things make sense, which is always a nice thing to do. So I'm going to go through all the typos. It doesn't look like that. I've not looked through it yet. It doesn't look like there's too many, which is good. Yeah, just the odd one here and there. Doesn't look like there's any major rewriting or anything. However, Julian has started the playtesting of this, and he did say, he goes, oh, I'm about 10 entries in, and then something so it's not broken, but he did notice something. So I need to obviously wait for Julian to get back with the playtesting. Hopefully by the time I've made all those corrections, he'll have come back with the playtesting, and then I can make those corrections. And then I can typeset it. Then I can send it out to both you, everybody that backed mine and Jam's project, plus Troy of Savage Realms game books. He offered to publish them both, like separately, but he's going to publish both of them. He's published Jam's, and he's also going to publish this. I hope he's still going to publish this anyway, because that was a while ago. He should still honour that. He's a nice guy. And yeah, so those of you that backed both projects are not only going to get the digital, but you are now going to get a physical copy as well. So I'm really keen to get this out into the world. And then I'm going to start writing my next game book, my next full game book, my bigger game book, that I'm going to be launching on Kickstarter next year. And my plan is, like Jonathan, is to write the book before the Kickstarter, because that way I don't have to keep apologizing for it being late, and I don't like having stuff late. I feel really bad about that. So and luckily everybody apart from one didn't want a refund, so I'm very fortunate, but I do want to finish it beforehand, because then all that has to happen is that I literally then just send it off to the printer or get the dice made, get the badges made, whatever I've promised as extra, just do that. So it might be that it's a month or 2 months, after my Kickstarter. So that's the plan anyway. Lewin has put here, hopefully the murder mystery box. Oh yes, I've already read that one out. So yeah, so that's great news for that. So I can now move on. And it's quite good timing actually, because I've been so busy up until UK Games, and this is my first Saturday really where I'm just going to chill out. I'm still going to work, but I don't feel pressure, which is lovely. And then, yeah, the other things that I'm doing is Kedric and I have been working on a few more board games at very early stages, so I'm not really going to say what they are just yet. So because we've worked on about 3 or 4 board games, new ideas, I said to him, well, I'll type up all the notes and then I'll send them over to you, and then we can actually have a Zoom, video call meeting to then discuss, well, which one do we really want to take forward and develop fully, to play testing stage and play test it and then get to pitch stage. So, yeah, there's 4 games that we can choose from, which is nice. Because I do find it, I love creating board games on my own, and I've started doing that, but I only really started doing that after the Crooked Crown. And obviously that was the game that Kedric and I co-designed. And the same with, Guildlands. I've got 2 games published with Kedric. However, I kind of feel like I need to prove to me and to the world that I can design games on my own. Which is why I'm really, really wanting, my solo games to games I've designed on my own to get published. Because then, again, that's a bit of a relief. It'd be like, oh, see everybody? It's not just Kedric. I know there's a little bit of that in me. So that'd be nice. Yeah, but equally, it's great designing board games with other people, especially Kedric. We've got very good chemistry, and our kind of skills suit each other to bounce ideas off each other. Kedric's very good at working out things mathematically and mechanisms and stuff like that. And obviously, I know mechanisms as well, mechanics. But then I bring maybe the storytelling aspect into it, maybe theme it up a bit, maybe, bring a bit more of that to the equation. So between us, hopefully we can have a really solid game that is very immersive as well. So there you go. It's a little insight. But I do have other games that I've started co-designing with other people, and I've had to put on pause because obviously, well, they're busy, I'm busy. So sometimes co-designing can take longer because you are having to sort of fit it in around someone else's life as well as your own life, if that makes sense. Anyway, I don't think anyone's watching. Yay! That's maybe the first time I've bored people off of my out of the chat rooms. There we go. So, I think we'll wrap it up there then. I thought people were interested in UK games. I thought the lever-ins, but collaborative efforts are more concise but take longer. Yeah, I agree. They can take a lot longer. But also it kind of, you're elevating each other because you're bouncing ideas off each other that you might not have come up with if it was just you on your own, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Cool. Well, thank you all for watching. None of you. No, Leerin's still here. Thank you, Leirin, for watching. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Spellsing. Thank you. Who else? I'm sure there was somebody else. What was that it? Jonathan, Spellthing. Oh, and Josh as well. But I think Josh, he's on holiday. He was waiting to go swimming. So I think he's off going swimming. So thank you, Josh. Thank you, Leirin. Thank you, Spellthing. Thank you, Jonathan. And thank you to anyone else that was watching but didn't comment. You're more than welcome to do that, obviously. But yeah, so that's what's happening on Edge of Tales, my creative life. Right, what are we doing next? The next live stream, I believe, let me just double check the diary of actions, the diary of stuff, is next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, is that the 10th? I believe it is. Yes, we're going to do another part of Fighting Fantasy Sorcery Book 4, the final book in the quadruple-ly, and we are gaining ever closer, yes, to the big baddie who is in Fortress Mangpang. Good night, everybody, says Lirin, and see you past, the first Throbbing Doors Mangpang, Thursday, 2 a.m. in the morning. Yes, it's 2 a.m. for Lirin, but it's 7 p.m. or 7:15 p.m. UK time. So be there this Wednesday where we crack through another session of Fighting Fantasy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you watching and all your comments. It's really lovely to chat with you again. And have a lovely weekend. Now, go away now. Everybody seen The Critical Drinker? Go away now. See you later, everybody.